So if you are a realtor trying to help a client get a short sale, or if you are a buyer looking and thinking maybe I want to do a short sale, here are the first things to look at. So when you go to look at a short sale, sometimes people who are doing short sales, they're not nice, they're not happy, they're losing their house, they can be mean, sometimes they're nice. The man we're working with, he's been amazing, he's so kind. He's let us in, but he won't let us in without him. So my clients have not seen the house. Like, I can't go show my clients the house without him. So you're just working with all kinds of different things, which is normal in real estate. Everything is unique. But before you put the offer in, so you found your short sale and you're like, oh, this is such a great deal, I love it. Before you put the offer in, you have to read the addendums. The short sale I'm working with, it's with a nationwide company called BK Global, and they, in their addendum, it actually said we only had 10 days from the contract to get the inspection for them to be able to, keep the escrow payment, and they wanted 1% escrow. So the house, we made the offer at $280. The escrow was $2,800, lots of money, and that we only had 10 days. Well, when I originally read that, I was like, surely they mean once the bank is accepted, like this. So I did email them, and I'm so glad I did. And I said, when it says this, do you mean from the time that the offer is accepted from the bank? And they said, no, 10 days from when you are under contract. So the reason this is so important is an inspection's like $500-600. Now, depending on your client, that may be a lot, and that may not be a lot. For my clients, that was a lot of money. For me, that's a lot of money to just waste if I don't end up getting a home. So I was able to do an addendum, and in the addendum it said we would have 10 days from the time the bank has approved the loan, and that is what happened. I am really glad we did that because, and I'll go through this again later, but just really quickly, what happened was, after we waited months, they came back, and our offer, it was listed at $285. Our offer was $280, and they came back at $315. And it needed a new roof, and it needs 2 new AC units. And so, I was just in a panic, and I just thought, oh, we'll never, this isn't going to work. And so I sent in, anyway, in the end, we balanced it out, and I'll get to that later. But had they come back at $315, and had we had to stay at $315, this deal would have been done. My clients would have lost their $500. It would have just been that much sadder. It would have made me look that much less professional. It would have been just a bad situation. All right, so make sure you are careful with the attachments and addendums in a short sale. Make sure you're reading those. And if you do notice this before you send in the final contract, I would actually, if you could, I would put it on the other slot. I don't know what your contracts look like. I don't know. But Florida, I used a Florida FAR bar as is, and there's a section for other. If I could do it all over again, I would have put it in that other section right there, and I would have said, inspection date not to begin until the bank has been approved. We have written approval of the bank's short sale. All right, so I'm going to take you on our little journey that I went through with my clients. So we were looking at houses, and my clients had a very strong budget. They're both teachers. They have 8 kids. They need a big house, but they don't have a huge budget to go with it. And so we went and looked at a ton of houses, and this short sale was clearly, by far and away, the best deal. It just was hands down amazing. The deal was amazing, but we knew what we were getting into, which wasn't bad because my clients needed time to fix up their house and get their house ready to sell. So it kind of worked out great for them in our situation. So we put in the offer, and then it was just, we put in the offer, and it was just wait and wait and wait. We put in the offer June 6th, and I think it was around July 7th. They came back. So again, let me just explain. It was listed at $285. We offered $280, and then that was accepted. We put the $2,800 in escrow. They wanted 1% escrow. And so we went ahead and put in the escrow. And then in July, the first week of July, they came back and they said that they wanted $315 for the house. So that was quite a jump. It's like $35,000 more than our agreed to price, and quite a bit more than even $30,000 more than it was even listed at. So they basically asked me and the listing realtor, who she really didn't have much to do with this. She just really listed it for them. She didn't work with BK Global. She had very little to do with this transaction. This was mostly me working with BK Global. It wasn't me working with the listing realtor. So I asked her if she like sent in her BPO, and she's like, they have everything they need from me. So I went through, and it like literally took like hours and hours. I went back, and we live in like this giant neighborhood with a bunch of little neighborhoods within it. And I just went within what I thought was like a good radius, and I just found all special sales. So like handyman specials, short sales, and foreclosures is what I mostly looked for, distressed properties. And what I tried to really focus on was the difference that how much foreclosures are usually selling for. So if they sold it as a foreclosure, usually those were selling for less per square foot. So I sent them like 10 comps. They rejected most of them because of age or different the square footage, but there weren't that many. We're in a great economy here right now in 2019 in Florida, and especially in our area. We're in a great economy. There's actually not that many. I had to go back, I think, like 6 months to find those 10. So I just sent what I could, and I sent what I thought was relevant. And then we sent a professional roofer and a professional AC man out to diagnose the AC and to get a roofing estimate, because we knew the roof was original. We knew it'd have to be replaced. The ACs are original. They are working, but they are not going to work much longer. The house is 26 years old. So I sent all that in together back to BK Global as like a package. Like, here's my BPO, here's my comps, and here's this roofing estimate and the AC estimate. What I did was I took like those exact estimates and I just subtracted them from the 315. So I just said, you know, here's this and this. So our end price came out at $288,441. I did it to the dollar because it just was easier for me for whatever reason. And so we sent back the offer at $288,441. Well, about 3 weeks later, the beginning of, because that took a few weeks of back and forth to get all that stuff done. So around the beginning of August, I got another email, and they said, you know, the BPO came back at $315, send in your best offer. At which time I went and talked to my clients, and of course my clients were disheartened in July when it came back, and I just told them, you know, let's just see, you know, you guys are still working on your house. This is just, you know, it's just something. So let's just move forward and see where it goes. And they agreed. And so when it came back to $315, I went and talked to him, and I just said, you know, you've already submitted your highest and best. Your budget is $300,000, and we know for sure you're going to have to put a roof on this. You may need an AC unit within a day or within a year, but we know you're going to have to put a roof on it. And roofs are very expensive here in Florida. They're like $10,000, $15,000. So if you want this to be your best, that's fine. And they said, yes, we want this to be our best. We don't want to go up anymore. So I sent it back. And honestly, like, I thought that was the end of the deal. I didn't think we'd hear back from BK Global again. I just thought, like, well, you know, we'll just keep looking, and we'll get their house on the market, and we'll sell that, and then we'll figure out what to do, where to move my clients. And either way, this was kind of good for them. It gave them time, it gave them motivation, it gave them something to look forward to in the time. And then the last week of August, I got an email saying that the first bank had approved the offer, accepting the offer of $288,441. Could not believe it. So excited. We were all so excited. It did have 2 mortgages on it. However, like once we got that first approval, although it wasn't like set in stone, it was a huge relief, because with short sales, what happens is when the first bank accepts, the second bank is at the mercy of the first bank. If this goes into foreclosure, the second bank gets nothing. They don't get anything. If the first bank comes back and they're like, we'll give you $6,000 for your second mortgage, it's $6,000 they're going to get. They're not going to get anything. So once the first bank has accepted the loan, you're good, usually. I don't want to say for sure. But it makes no sense for them to deny that, because if they go into foreclosure, they get nothing, and something's better than nothing, unless they're being just like vindictive. So it took about a week and a half later, we got the approval from the second bank, and from the time we got the second short sale, it took about 2.5 weeks to get the bank the court date. And what happens is once you get the court date, because I didn't understand this, and they kept saying, we're waiting to get a court date. I didn't know why, but the court date was so that like all this could be filed. The clients who are selling the house, who are doing the short sale, not my clients, but they're doing a bankruptcy. And so it's going to go to a bankruptcy court, and I don't know if they'll be able to get out of the bankruptcy. I don't really know that end of it. But we had to get a court date, and then our close date is the day after the court date. So our court date is 10/28/2019, and then our closing date, we're hoping to close 10/29/2019. So I don't know. I hope that this helps. I'm going to update Chet and just make sure that we closed and everything's good. That things have been going well now. It was a long process. It will be very, very worth it for my clients. They'll be walking into this house with lots of equity, especially once that roof is done. That house is golden for quite a while, as long as they take care of it.